You? I should probably, if you don't mind, introduce Jane Lohman, who Jane is in charge of making sure the story made sense and also producing the entire thing. So, yeah. And after the dog is her.
Okay. Oh God, please let it be the front end.
She looked after the comedy. So do we have any questions or any? It's all pretty well self-explanatory.
Was the original concept for the movie very much like what you turned out, or did it change during the production?
Interesting. I think we wrote literally. I think I ran like 3 scripts by Jane before we got to this one. They were completely different scripts. Like we had a psychological thriller, we had a full-on horror, and then this.
We were working on starting with limitations in budget, basically, and so we narrowed things down. Specifically with Dog's Breakfast, the only thing I can think that changed once we were in pre-production was the depth, the ladder.
Oh yeah, because there's a whole
the
reschedule.
location completely changed it. You go.
What Jane's trying to say is, there was at the last minute we were originally going to shoot this in my house because the rent was much cheaper. But there was a border issue because we live in the States and we're very close to Canada and our crew was Canadian and there was this whole back and forth. And we would have broken laws in like 10 countries.
We couldn't realistically have 35 people coming to stay at our house every day, so especially with equipment.
Much as we'd like that.
Yeah.
So we ended up renting this house, which was just a much different configuration than ours. We have a staircase that would allow a ladder to fall and kill him inside, which would have been cheaper. But this house didn't allow that. We sort of got in there, and I was like, "This is perfect. This is perfect. This is perfect." And we're like, "Great, we're signing the lease. We're getting the thing for a month." And then I was like, he's gonna have to fall off like a 4-step ladder. He's gonna like be bruised.
The basement was so tight down there that you couldn't fit the camera to see the top of the stairwell properly.
It was HD, giant,
huge
cameras. Because in the future everything will be larger. So we had to literally rewrite the whole death sequence to work outside.
And so that's what brought the Christmas lights in, and I really loved everything that it added to it, except for the mud.
Oh yeah, well, because the other thing about renting this house is we rented this house before the 40 days of raining. So we rented this beautiful little house that had like a lovely long lush garden and then this little lake just tucked away at the back, and then we showed up shooting and the lake was sort of lapping up against the porch and the lush garden was sort of covered in dust. So that also that changed actually the whole getting rid of the body. It's completely different. We have to it's a reality film. Oh, and the other thing was Kate, my real little sister. Her boyfriend was staying with us at the time as well, which is kind of amusing. So what's the film about?
He was actually a stand-in for the death scene, I think, wasn't he? Yeah, he came along and he was hanging out that day, and we're like, look, we need somebody to just lie there and act dead. Never mind.
Buy a ticket like everyone else this year. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer, wasn't it?
Got another question, though.
You got all the questions? Or the second part?
The second part.
Talk amongst
In
yourselves.
most of the scenes, was it hard to do the acting and directing at the same time?
I don't remember. Jane should answer this, because Jane was my eyes and ears on this stuff. I mean, I would literally come in and say, ideally this happens within this frame. Oh God. And then I would run off and say some of the lines I'd written, and most of the other ones were God knows what I was talking about. So the weirdest thing to get used to actually was doing a scene without sort of stopping and listening. Not as the character, but as the director. You'd be like, oh, my line, right? The first couple of days was and directing yourself. You're like, you idiot, it's and. What are you? And the crew just stood around going, why is he arguing? Because it looks different in the camera. You can't, like, doing the whole bowls and the breakfast food. First day of shooting, we figured, do the easy stuff
Yeah.
first. How hard can it be to shoot a guy eating cereal? Well, you try looking at a monitor and dropping things in bowls. I don't have that kind of, I failed kindergarten. That's why I'm an actor. Yes.
What was it like working with your co-stars from Stargate in a completely different context?
I was God. Remember what you do on Stargate? Yeah, don't do that. It was a lot of, they were very, very understanding. I think I started every sort of piece of directing that I did with I'm really sorry.
But
You know?
really rested April?
Yeah, exactly. But you forgot to shave your legs, Paul. Yeah, it was, they were incredibly it was, it's one of those weird things because when you're on the show, it's we just do what we're told. And all of a sudden it was my responsibility to say, what they wanted. So they sort of stop and look at you at the end of it and be like, I thought we did good. And then remember that I was supposed to be telling them what to do. Chris Judge, yes. I was most nervous about Chris Judge because he's huge. And the opposite of me in every way. Like he's just cool and laid back and he showed up on set and it was the funnest day we had because he's like flirting away with Kate. And Kate's like, well, I think it should be flirty now. Originally, she was supposed to be just incredibly uncomfortable because the whole thing, she's like, I think I'd like him. So, yeah, and he was on his best behavior. So, yeah, there was no legal action or anything.
All right, can you tell us more about the show Starcross?
Yes.
Can you tell us more about the show Starcross that's being in production?
Somebody's been reading up on the internet. Yeah, we just for everyone else here. Starcross was our little sort of tribute to Stargate. We were like the little fish that swim around the giant great white sharks, just picking the food out of their teeth. And they were kind enough not to chew our heads off. So now these are both part of it.
Yeah.
And in an ocean of. But what was funny about it was so much fun to shoot that people kept saying, like, we should do Starcross. So we actually approached NBC Universal and Sci-Fi about doing exactly that, doing a sort of a Larry Sanders version of making a sci-fi show instead of a late night talk show. And suckers bought it.
We have.
Sorry, voice of doom here.
No, they bought pilots and they apparently by all accounts love the script, but they